The ANC is facing backlash over some of the candidates they're pushing forward in their national list. Some of the members have been implicated in graft, corruption and even state capture. This despite the party having a step-aside rule meant to filter off accused leaders until they're completely cleared. Accountability Now Director, Advocate Paul Hoffman, warns that the impact of leaving questionable names on the ANC's election list is not to be underestimated. He joins us now to tell us why. Advocate Hoffman, thank you very much for your time this morning. What's the issue of contention for you?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers as well, Lulu. I think that the ANC has really lost its way in the last few years. You know, in 2001, they created a recipe for those who want to lead the ANC. And in that recipe, which is called Through the Eye of a Needle, and any of your viewers who want to find it, it's cross-referenced in the editorial in the Sunday Times this morning. And the ANC sets out very clearly that leaders are meant to lead by example. They ought to be free of corruption, and indeed they ought to fight corruption as well. Now, that didn't happen, and the decision was made to create this step-aside rule in order to help the members of the ANC who are compromised by their involvement in corrupt activities or in activities that reflect upon the reputation and integrity of the ANC itself. That has been scrapped in the last few days because the party was unable, the leadership of the party was unable to go along with the recommendations of the Integrity Committee of the party to leave off the list of candidates for the elections on the 29th of May, those who had been fingered by the Zondo Commission of Inquiry as either being corrupt or suspected of being corrupt. And the net result of it has been that the entire step-aside mechanism, which was invented in 2015, has been abandoned by the ANC, and people who have huge questions over their integrity, their involvement in corrupt activities, and their ability to represent the ANC in Parliament as a person who is indeed capable of passing through the eye of a needle, as was prescribed back in 2001 for the ANC. So what we have is a surrender to those who are involved in corruption, and the official reason is that it's for fear of litigation by those who claim that they ought not to be treated as tainted by allegations of corruption or by actual corruption, which is really a nonsense.
Okay.
I think
Advocate Hoffman, if you'd allow me to please just join you there. When you mention the word integrity and you mention corruption when it comes to some of the members that are on this candidate list, corruption is, it could be described as an affair, right? So you need a corrupter to have someone corrupted. And even in state capture, the corrupter was also identified. And so when you speak of a lack of integrity, is it an ANC problem or is it a South Africa problem? What does it tell us more broadly? Because are we losing sight of the bigger picture that whomever then comes in the event if this party is not elected, in the event if there is a coalition, whomever comes in, is there integrity when we speak of South African politics?
Yes, that's a very contentious question. I think that if we go all the way back to the Travelgate saga, the vast majority of the parliamentarians involved in the Travelgate saga were ANC members, but it wasn't only ANC members. So your point is well taken. But the difficulty that the ANC has is that it is led by the president who came into power on a renewal and unity ticket. And his problem is that he's been unable to unify those involved in corruption with those who are interested in renewal. So the two basic guiding thoughts of President Ramaphosa are mutually contradictory, because renewal doesn't happen while you are infested with people living under a cloud of corruption allegations. And the difficulty about the cleaning up of the act of the ANC is that so many of those in the ANC who are involved in corruption know where the bodies are buried, have their little black books, as Jacob Zuma was wont to say, and they could create huge problems for the ANC if they are not inside the tent representing the ANC, but are forced outside, as occurred after Jacob Zuma was dismissed as president by the ANC, and has now got himself involved with the MK party instead.
Advocate Hoffman, in fact, it was Mambatabile Dlamini who said we all have smolanyana skeletons in the closet. And so it would appear that President Cyril Ramaphosa has almost been crystallized into a victim. Is he really a victim of the ANC, or merely reflecting what is the truth about the party? You've also got a president where that robbery happened on the farm. He's been cleared by a number of bodies. But is he really a victim here, or just a reflection of what is going on?
I'm afraid that the smolanyana skeletons that reside in the couch at Pala certainly do compromise the president. We saw the stories at the time that the story broke, that he actually wanted to resign as president, and he was persuaded by the leaders of the ANC to stay on because he is regarded as the most credible of the leadership of the ANC. Whether that credibility has been dented by the Pala incident, in which he is the victim of a crime because money stashed in the couch was stolen, but he's also got questions to answer in respect of why so much foreign currency was not banked as it should have been, but was kept in the couch for longer than the period that the law allows, and why he did not report the theft to the Hawks, as he is obliged to do on pain of criminal sanctions under PRECA, the Prevention of Corrupt Activities Act. So the difficulty that President Ramaphosa faces is that he is trying to balance renewal, cleaning up the act of the party, with the unity of the party, when unity involves pandering to people who have been seriously involved in corrupt activities, have been fingered by the Zondo Commission as deserving either of further investigation or, in some cases, of prosecution. And these people continue to appear on the list of candidates, making a complete nonsense of through the eye of a needle requirements set out in 2001. It's also going to be difficult for the ANC to square the circle with the members of the Integrity Commission and the veterans who have insisted that those involved in state capture should not be allowed to stand for the ANC. I foresee that it is possible that Mavuso Msimang will again resign, because he retracted his resignation from the ANC because he was promised that people tainted by their involvement in corruption would not be on the list. Well, they are on the list. And what Reverend Frank Shikani is going to make of this in his capacity as the chairman of the Integrity Commission, which said, leave off the list those who have been unable to explain why they were fingered by the Zondo Commission, and I think there were about 4 or 5 of them who were able to explain that it was all a terrible mistake that their name should be there. But the Zondo Commission identified nearly 100 ANC top brass as being involved in corruption, while it was also identifying over 1,400 people who were involved in state capture.
Mm-hmm. Advocate Hoffman, just a final question, perhaps to your knowledge, is this it for the ANC? Do you perceive, or rather to your knowledge, are there still no good standing members who really have the best interest of not only the party but the country at heart?
Yeah, that is a question which must be answered by the people who go to the polls on the 29th of May and elect their leadership. The cloud that hangs over the ANC has certainly dented its popularity among the voters, but the polling suggests that there are still voters who, either out of loyalty to the ANC or out of a lack of choice, have decided that they will continue to support the ANC and vote for the ANC in the forthcoming election. Whether there will be enough of them to ensure that the ANC remains in power is a question which I will be better able to answer on the 30th of May.